Hey everybody, and welcome to week 5 of class. Hey, this week we are about to create the history of the United States, and by that I mean we're finally going to get a country. We have made it through the colonial era, and I hope you've enjoyed that because it really sets some context for where we're going and what we become, especially the material that we looked at last week, because it really sets sort of what I call an ideological cornerstone for what the United States becomes. When we take a look at the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution and essentially just the philosophical framework for what the United States is, you really have to understand that in terms of the American Revolution and the Enlightenment which preceded that. And these things collectively help to create the United States, right? So at this point, we've got a country, right? We're here, we've got a constitution, we've got a legal framework. And what we're going to be looking at this week is the history of the first couple presidencies, and predominantly we're going to be looking at the history of George Washington and his presidency. And there's a lot of really significant things that transpired during this period, some of which we're going to dive into more specifically, some of which we won't. But the things that you want to understand is that during this period of our history, even though many of our founding fathers did not want for political parties to develop, that's precisely what happens during the Washington administration. You're going to see some significant schisms, some political differences between Alexander Hamilton, the Treasury Secretary, and Thomas Jefferson, the Secretary of State, with respects to how the Constitution should be understood, whether it should be a strict construction or a loose construction. And there's also some major differences with respects to foreign policy. During the Washington administration, you're going to see that the French Revolution will erupt, and because they aided the United States in the formation of their country, they're going to expect the United States to, reciprocate in that. And there are some major differences in how that's going to transpire. But in the end, the United States under Washington will issue a foreign policy of neutrality. But we're going to cover all of this week, both in the lecture and in the reading in various videos. But understand that during much of the Washington administration, there are a number of precedents that are set that many other presidents will follow. We're also going to take a look at John Adams, whose administration, he only served one term where Washington served two. His administration didn't get as much done, in part because Adams is not the kind of man who has really, I think, the personality suited for the presidency, although he definitely had the pedigree for it. And we'll talk more about that as well. But for this week, that's what we've got going. Of course, make sure that you follow the directions for the discussion boards and the quiz and all that fun stuff that you have to do. Actually, not the quiz. I'm sorry. I apologize. You don't have a quiz this week. You're going to have a midterm coming up, but at least the discussion board for this week that you're going to have to complete. The other thing that, again, I want to stress to you that is coming up is the first PowerPoint assignment. If you haven't gotten back to me on that, please do so soon so that I can get a sense of what your plan is and where you're going to go. So, all right, guys, that's pretty much what I have for you this week. So with that, as always, I will leave you. Go in peace, be warm and filled. May the force be with you. Live long and prosper, and may the odds forever be in your favor. All right, guys, have a blessed week.